Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lee Brock, and I'm one of the co-artistic directors of the Barrow Group. I identify with she, her. And for those of you who don't know who the Barrow Group is, we are a nonprofit arts organization operating in New York City, but also now here in Zoom land. And we are dedicated to a very specific acting approach, which helps the acting get looser, more spontaneous, more like you're watching real people in real situations so that the audience can have a deeper, richer experience and go out into the world and do great things. But today, this afternoon, we are having an artist conversation with beautiful Elliot Flynn, who took classes with us in 2018. And so welcome, Elliot, welcome. So how are you? How's it going?
Oh, I'm good, and everything's going good, I think. Yeah, I'm happy and excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Great. And usually one of the first questions I throw out to people is, so Elliot, what's keeping you inspired these days? Where are you finding your inspiration?
Yeah, I'd say that I'm currently really inspired by my friendships and relationships. I feel like over the course of the year, my friends and family, like me and my loved ones, have been more kind of like affectionate with each other and more vulnerable with each other in a way that's really meaningful and kind of striking. I feel like this year I've received love and affection, and I've given and shown love and affection in a way that I haven't before, and my relationships with everyone around me is that much deeper, and it's something that really affects me and inspires me.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's wonderful. So, and we are so excited that you've just done a film called Shoplifters of the World, and that is so incredibly exciting. And I think it's an indie film. Am I correct on that? Yeah. So,
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about this film that you're in here, Shoplifters of the World?
Shoplifters of the World is an ode to the Smiths, the band, and the craziness of the 80s is kind of the shorthand that's emerged, but it's about one night for this group of friends in Colorado in 1987. They're reeling from the breakup of the Smiths, their idols, and it's their last night together before one of the friends goes off to boot camp. And at the same time, another fan of the Smiths is inspired by their breakup to go hijack his local radio station and force them to play the Smiths all night at gunpoint.
Oh, wow.
And it's based off an urban legend. Like apparently it might have almost happened. But so this film kind of starts with the proclamation, I guess, of based on true intentions, which I find really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when people go see this film, what do you think the effect is going to be on them after seeing this film? Or what do you think the film is?
I think that the great thing about the film is that you don't have to be a fan of the Smiths to enjoy it. Like, of course, I mean that group will love the music and think that the dialogue is funny. It's infused with Smith's lyrics, which is so fun and campy. But I think that anyone can take away that your community is your lifeline. That your group of friends, and even like I mean the community in the sense of the people who like the same music as you, but also I think something also more meaningful and larger than that, like um, those people are your lifeline. And
Mm.
also I think like like music can save your life. Music has a profound effect on a person and is quite meaningful and can be the bridge for those meaningful relationships in your life.
Oh, I love that. I
That's
love
something I
that.
was that's something I certainly took away anyway.
Yeah,
That's something I certainly
that's
took away.
beautiful. I mean, just even that whole thing about community. I'm so big on community too, and nurturing community. And where do we find the community? Because I think community heals, music heals, art heals. And how are we finding those little
Yes.
pods of our pods or circles that we can help heal ourselves and help heal each other? Oh, I can't wait to see it. I just can't wait to see it. So being on the set, what was something that you learned that you didn't think that you were going to learn being on this set?
Um, hmm. I think that I mean it was my first experience on set by myself. It was my first feature film. And so that was that was a learning experience in itself. Um, I think maybe something unexpected that I learned was oh my god, you've hit me with a hard one right
Oh, was that a hard one?
off the
Oh,
bat.
no.
No, I'll say so something that something I didn't expect to learn, I think, is what kind of here, okay, I got my answer. With a kind of community that forms with your fellow actors
Right.
behind the scenes. Like I think when we're working on a stage production, you have such a long time to kind of build that bond with your fellow actors.
Right.
And on set, it's something that kind of needs to happen a lot more quickly, also something that happens a little differently because sometimes the rehearsal is not very extensive. Um, so I think learning to connect with people and quickly uh, was something I hadn't anticipated needing to do.
Yeah.
But it also was kind of refreshingly easy when you're with a good group,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah. No, that's really yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. Um, and and you have some other projects that you did in this pandemic time, right? So this lockdown time. So what were some of the other projects that you got to work on during this pandemic?
Um, I'd say for some reason I was very fortunate last year that I worked a total of 5 projects in 2020. And I think that and they're all films and TV shows that I'm very excited about. Um, I'd say I worked on one film that takes place during the pandemic, and it's something that was born out of the pandemic, which I think is really interesting because I find myself wondering a lot how the pandemic is going to last in our artistic conscience.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, because hopefully, in a few years, or hopefully very soon, this will all be like a distant memory. But I wonder, like, how we'll talk about the pandemic, how we'll want to talk about it, even if we want to talk about it, period, like at all.
Yeah, yeah,
But this film, I think a lot of art has been created almost out of necessity during the pandemic, and that necessity being a need to create and to reach other people and have some sort of connection. And so one film that I worked on is, I mean, it's a road trip comedy infused with aliens, which is quite fun. But really, when you come down to it, it's about what what do we owe to each other as humans, especially at a time like this? Like, is it every man for themselves, or is it time to help your neighbor, to extend your hand to help someone, whether you know them, whether they're like you or not. And that I think is a universal question. Um, and so that's a project I'm really excited about. That film is currently in post production, but I hope it'll see the light of day soon.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful message. And again, it's like these beautiful themes about community and how, nurturing that community. And you're right. When do we take care of ourselves, or how are we able to, help another person? That's yeah, that's really yeah, that's beautiful. That's like so beautiful. Terrific. And also you did this movie, The Memories of Rain. Is that right? Is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
that
You want to talk
yes,
about that?
Memories of Rain is a short film by a young emerging animator, Elizabeth Melling, and it's a short film. It's a live action stop motion hybrid about this young woman who needs to confront like a monster, this physical manifestation of her mental illness, in order to win back control of her mind and her memories, and also ultimately the love of her partner. It's a very Alice in Wonderland type adventure, but it's really a story about mental illness, and something that seems to recur in our conversation right now, like your community, or asking for help, or leaning on that other person for help when you need it. I play the lead role in that film, and it was a really meaningful and wonderful experience to kind of be on that journey, and also have that responsibility to tell that story.
That's fabulous. That is so fabulous. That's really beautiful. So now, when did you start acting, or when did you get excited about acting, or yeah, when did you begin your
Well,
acting?
I started acting as a child. I was in commercials. I was on Nickelodeon, and I always wanted to be an actor, but never really pursued it in a meaningful way, I'd say, beyond those few great fun opportunities that I happened to get. Like, I didn't really know what to do. I didn't really have an understanding of what, that pounding the pavement working on having a career really looks like.
Mhm.
Um, but I always knew I wanted to be an actor, and then finally, I think when I went away to college, something kind of clicked, like that this is something I want to do, and not because it would be really cool to play pretend, but because this is a thing that like gives me solace and gives me peace, and also acting came to me, I think, like, and the discipline of it came to me at a time where I really needed something like that. um I had a sense of morality and a sense of dedication, and like all of these big things. Like I had this character, and I mean character like the virtue, like when I was working on a project, or when I was in class, um and it was something that brought me peace, and almost like, it's a big word, but gave me a lifeline in a way, because I really cared about the work that I was doing,
Mhm.
um and I think out of uh that kind of nose to the grind work, some something something wonderful happened, in that the work that I was doing was affecting the people around me.
Yeah.
you know, which is also kind of an indication of, oh, this is something I can actually do.
Yeah.
Um, so I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll become an actress, and that led me to, you know, study at the Barrow Group. You
Mhm.
know, while also trying to like get my footing in New York and figuring out how to be an actor in the New York market.
Yeah, yeah. I love that sentence that you said you were, you felt like acting brought you peace, or you felt like at peace when you were acting, and that you took, great care in your work. And we are so grateful that you took that summer intensive with us, and just even watching your work in that, you're a really hard worker. You always came like super, super prepared. You were so different in your things that you did, and that I could tell that you always like took great care, with the work and with your scenes. And yeah, so that was I love that it brought you peace, because a lot of times with and maybe we could talk about just even that just a little bit, because I know actors sometimes are, there's that fabulous desire to put yourself out there and be creative, but then it brings up also anxiety, or brings up, self-consciousness, or, Judy Judge comes into play. Am I good enough? All of that stuff, comes into play. So what are some tools that you play around with that kind of help you, as you said, like, bring you peace when you're acting? Do you know what some of those things are?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it brings me peace in the way that I'm dedicating myself to a craft. I think that can bring peace. But also, like, it's also, I mean, to say it kind of in a flip way, it's nice not to think about my own problems for a little bit. Like, instead to think about the character's problems and disappear into their life.
Right.
Um, instead of yours. And I think that um I'm sorry, your question was
No,
tools
yeah,
for.
I think that you answered that. Just even like thinking about that we don't, there's something, just even that discipline and actor discipline. But you were saying that you kind of were able to kind of go into somebody else's life rather than yours, or by acting, you get to play somebody else rather than thinking about your problems the whole time. So it's that you can kind of, which is. An opportunity to bring you peace. So yeah, totally.
Yeah,
That's a
no,
beautiful
I
way to
do
look at it.
think that I do think that, I mean, I'm a big proponent of like, you know you are the actor, like you are your instrument. So your everything about you is going to inspire the character. Like I really, like I for some reason I find that that a lot of the times when I do interviews and stuff, people who, not like you, where we're obviously, we gel with the same kind of methods clearly, like, but a lot of times people will ask me about like character acting, and method acting really for some reason is something that always comes up. And I think you are the instrument, and you are like amazing and interesting. You're amazing and interesting just the way you are. Like, and um so like your being, and that might be your thoughts or experiences, your mannerisms, everything is going to inform the character and inform what happens in the scene. And I think that's really wonderful. Like I'm definitely not someone like, I'm going to build a whole new person from scratch and you're
Right,
all going to be amazed. Like,
right.
like that's not really that's not really it. But it's nice to kind of induce, I guess, someone else's problems and experiences on top of yours, creating your own unique performance that's going to be great and wonderful and
Right.
unique, like etc. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, we're totally on the same page on that, that you bring yourself to the work, and you're just a vessel for that material to come through you. So I totally
Mm.
agree with all of that. And also, like I talk about in classes too, like people really don't care about someone's technique. They don't really care about that. They're really just kind of caring about the story, and is the story affecting them, and are you brought in by the story? Are you touched by that story? So, yeah, so I totally, we're on the same page when it comes to all that. So now,
I see. I thought so. I had a hunch.
oh yes, of course, of course, of course, of course. So when you did study at the Barrow Group, what were some things that you came away with at the Barrow Group that has helped you?
I would say the number one takeaway far and away is just that acting doesn't have to be hard. Um, it doesn't have to be like, of course, it's hard work, but it doesn't have to be something that's strenuous and agonizing. Um, that really, I think, was if I had to sum up the 6 weeks,
Mhm.
that that was it. And I mean, even like, I mean, that's the overarching thing on top of, a bunch of tiny, super useful like tips and tricks that I definitely keep in my toolbox.
That's great. Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's one of my favorite ones too. Um, it is easy, and hopefully it's fun. And how can we keep inspiring ourselves and having fun with the material each time that we, get up and go to an audition, or if you're on a set. So maybe like when you were on that set for this beautiful film, what were there any challenges that you had, or what were some things that, yeah, some challenges that you had?
I think especially because it was my first film, which now feels like forever ago. I mean, we shot that movie in 2018.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm thankful that I've been on I've been on set. I'm gratefully many a time since. But I think that there was kind of that learning curve of um like I felt like I had to come in and be an artist, and by that I mean like be an artiste, like do something really amazing and really different each time. And like that wasn't the I think I might have come in and was treating it like the rehearsal process, meaning like a sense of play and a sense of like it doesn't have to be this. We're going to do another take and maybe it'll be something different. And like it just that's all well and good, and I think if you have the opportunity to do that kind of exploration on set, like that's really great. Um but this wasn't the time for that. Like I was trying different things, and then our director Stephen came up to me and he was just like, can you do it how you did it in your tape? And I was like, yeah, of course I can. Like, I felt like I had to come in and do something really magnificent and thoughtful every time,
Right.
when what I did in my tape was enough and the
Yeah.
thing that I should do again in the scene.
Yeah, that whole thing, it's like, who you are is enough, and less is more, and that obligation that we kind of put on ourselves to feel like, oh, it's got to be a little bit more, or I do have to make it even looser, or I have to be a great artist, within this. That stuff that we put on ourselves, that obligation that we put on ourselves, I think that's actually just I don't know, a constant challenge for an artist to kind of release that obligation and to just go, okay, less is more, less is more. Just let the text do it. How can I just kind of show up and have it kind of go through me? But yeah, I think that's a wonderful challenge to that you've recognized within yourself, and that you were able to finesse that. Just ride with that really easily. So that's really good. That's good. So maybe talking about, and I want to bring questions into, like sometimes people will have questions. So if you do have questions, you can chat them in to me and I will kind of throw them to Elliot, or Quinn will, give them to me from Facebook Live. So, so sometimes with the actors also, I like to talk about actor discipline, or what their discipline is, or if you have a discipline, like a daily structure, what that might, be for you.
Um, Lately, I think just generally as a human, like, and not necessarily as an actor, I've found a lot of solace in having a morning and evening routine, and I've found a lot of comfort there. And it's something that's very meditative to me. And I feel like a recent guest on your artist conversations talked a little bit about that. Um, like like a morning and evening routine, I to me, is something that can be very meditative. And it's not something really that's about like pumping me up. It's not even journaling or anything like that. It's literally just me getting ready for the day, like washing my face, or like part of my evening routine is getting my coffee all ready so that in the morning I just have to press the button.
Right.
And it literally, there's no journaling, no mantras, no nothing like that. But in doing those routines, like, my mind is like this meditative silence, and it's wonderful, because
Yeah.
then I spend the rest of the day running around thinking about all of the crazy things I need to do, but it starts and ends with this nice brain silence.
Yeah, I totally love that. And I think that you might be even talking about that beautiful Trish Alexandro, where she's so big on,
It was her,
Trish
yeah.
Alexandro. So your morning routine, the night routine, what's the structure, what's your, what's your discipline. I'm like that too. Like I find the discipline, if I have that discipline, it gives me the personal structure. So chaos can be going on all over the place. But if I have that, that discipline, I know I've done my morning routine, my end routine. It's like, okay, yeah, it just kind of grounds me, and it kind of helps me stay positive. And yeah, how are we gonna just kind of sharpen
And
that discipline?
I think I think to answer that question, I mean, through the acting lens, like, I mean, right now, I mean, my business is strictly auditioning. Like, that's it right now. And I mean, that's, probably like a huge percentage of an actor's time. Um, but even having a routine there, and how I approach a role,
Mhm.
um, is something that allows for, when the time comes to actually record, you kind of let all that work go, and you can live in the scene in a way that will hopefully be meaningful and interesting and get you the part. But it comes after, do I know my lines? Do I know the other person's lines? Have I mapped what happens here? Have I maybe thought about something, some emotional, quick reference that will get me personally there? It comes after all of that, but just so that that can all be shed for something great and authentic to happen on camera.
Yeah, yeah, I love that word you keep using, authentic, which is a beautiful, beautiful word. We do have a question here. So how did you go about finding your the right agent for you?
Oh, see, my agent, I found doing research. I love researching everything. I mean, I'm familiar with all the headshot photographers, and what your resume could look like or doesn't look like, or whose agent is where, and what actors are represented by what agent. Like, um, so I got I got to my agent by doing research,
By doing
um,
research.
seeing, like, just seeing, like, oh, is she, is this person appropriate for me? where I'm at now. And that'll change as your career changes.
Right, right.
You most likely will not be with the same agent your whole career,
Right.
and that's a blessing. I mean, you might be, and that's a beautiful long relationship should that be the case. But um, yeah, it's all research. I probably any sort of technical question that anyone will ask, and ask them away. Like this isn't me saying don't ask them. My answer is the research.
The
Like be nosy. Be so nosy. And my friends laugh at me because they think I'm nosy in general. But like I always like, if I meet someone, I'm like, oh, I'll go look them up. Who's their agent? What does their website look like? What kind of work are they doing right now? What kind of work were they doing? And like having all that information uh, gives you ammunition. Though ammunition, I mean, is indicative of something that I don't necessarily mean. Just the more the more information you have,
information.
all of that will serve you in some
Great.
way.
Yeah, that is so, you know what, that is so lovely. Like what you're saying, like doing the research or doing the getting the information. And I love the sentence that you said where, you're really kind of finding who's the right person for you at this time. And I think you were actually the first person that I've ever heard say that, you're probably not going to stick with this agent, for your whole life. And if you do, that's a blessing. But also it's a blessing that you kind of have this time together, you do some work together, and people move on, people change. As actors, kind of change, they also kind of they grow into different things, and they are doing different roles as we age and as we keep moving forward. So I think that's a really lovely way to look at it. And as I talk to actors too, it's we're always in search of that agent, and also that the agent is there to serve you and to have that working relationship with you. But and so when you were saying be nosy, are there some other examples that you have about what that is, being nosy? So if you meet someone, you kind of look them up and do some research on them, but are there that word nosy, yeah, so what other ways do you think of
Like
nosy?
I guess so I hope nosy like wasn't too confusing of a
No,
word. I mean,
it's a
I
good,
brought that
or curious. I would say curious, but nosy is a good word, right?
um yeah, maybe I use the word nosy because that gets the biggest laugh from my friends. But like, like if I'm watching TV, I'll be like, if I see someone I don't know, I'm like, oh, who's that? And
Who's that?
I'll look them up on IMDb and I'll be like, oh, this agent, or I'll be like, oh, I've seen that show, or like it's just putting together like. I guess like it's just putting together the puzzle pieces because you can watch TV and be like, oh man, I want to do that. How do I do that? Who's the kind of person who gets to do that?
Right,
Find
right.
out.
Yeah,
Literally, like look them up and see who they are and what they're doing. Like, um, because it'll lead you to the places where you need to be. I mean, I took a very similar approach when I was looking for the next place to study after I graduated from undergrad.
mhm,
I looked at all these different acting schools, and I called them up and spoke to them on the phone, like, because it is something you should take seriously. Like, and so, I went on my journey and I interviewed places and I asked a lot of questions, and it led me to the place that was right for me, which was the Barrow Group.
yeah,
Like, but the onus is on you to do the work to figure that out for yourself.
right, right,
I mean, you can always try again. It's never life or death. You might take class somewhere and be like, oh, I thought this was it, but this might not be it for me. It's not life or death. Go study somewhere else,
yeah,
Or
yeah,
like, oh, I thought what I tried in that audition was what I should do, but I didn't book it. It's like, there's going to be another audition and it's going to
right,
happen soon.
yeah,
You just don't know
yeah,
when, but it's going to
yeah.
happen.
Yeah,
Like,
it'll happen, right? I love that. And it's yeah, you're absolutely right. I kind of preach that too. We're kind of that whole thing that there's going to be another audition. There's going to be, if you take an acting class, it's like, what's if it's not the right fit for you? Hopefully you take what you did learn from these people and you know, take, oh, well, that was interesting, or you met somebody. And also it's so interesting, your body of work, or these interesting things, you know, the films that you've been doing right now about, you know, community and healing. Also, I think I talk to actors. It's like, how are you also looking at the directors that inspire you, or the writers also that inspire you, and how can you go, oh wow, I just really love their movies. I would love to be in this kind of movie, or I would love to work with so and so, and you know, kind of find out who the artists are that you want to work with, and again, doing your research to see, you know, how you can make that happen. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's true. So another question. So what you know, what are some projects that interest you?
I am really drawn to to coming of age stories and stories about women and young people and queer people that bring authenticity into the conversation, I'd say. I think, I mean, you know, we as a culture will never stop telling stories about growing pains, as in, you know, coming of age stories. And it's like, what meaningful thing or what meaningful perspective are you bringing to that conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kind of things that I like to be a part of. Like, I mean, the feeling I have when I watch a movie that's saying something that, you know, like, I sometimes I have the experience where I'm watching a movie and I knew I was going to be into the movie and that's why I turned it on, but I feel so seen by the things they're talking about. And there are things that I've been thinking and wondering, like, oh, does anyone else think that, or is it just me? Am I just crazy? And I watch the thing and it turns out I'm not crazy and I'm not the only one who thinks this way or has this fear or this anxiety. um, and that's a really powerful moment. I hope to one day create those kind of moments for other people as well.
Yes. Oh, you mean in regards to writing things or doing your own movies?
Yeah, I'd like to write my own projects one day. I'm currently a semi-finalist for the ATX Festival pitch competition, which is uh, pitching TV series for anyone who doesn't know. And yeah, I hope to bring something new kind of to the TV culture. I think we're in a really wonderful place right now where we're seeing new stories all the time and new perspectives. And I want to be a part of that any way I can. I think something really wonderful is happening. I feel really optimistic about our future as human beings, quite honestly. I think every day we move towards something that's more inclusive and more thoughtful and something that leads with love or humanity. And I'm so excited about it.
I am too.
I hope
That
it
is awesome.
doesn't sound
I am too.
crazy.
You're absolutely right. I am, and you're, 100%. I think this is going to be an extraordinary time. And just all of this tumultuous stuff that's been going on, just these incredible stories that are going to be, coming out, looking through all kinds of different lenses, and stories of compassion, stories of even deeper, meaningful, thoughtful stories. I think we're about to go into a major renaissance, and I think that I'm really hopeful and optimistic also, and I think that we just have to keep helping other people be, hopeful and optimistic within that. And I think it's through story. Well, that's great. So maybe you're writing. Can you share something that you are working on, or that you're writing?
I'll say I'm working on a project right now that is about feminism and sexuality in relation to social media. And
Oh,
I don't mean sexuality like gay or lesbian or that alphabet or anything. I mean sexuality literally being a sexual being,
right.
and kind of what how social media affects that view of someone who's coming into their adulthood and their adult sexuality.
Right.
Um, I wonder. I don't. I'm excited to share my thoughts on it one day. Hopefully a feature. Hopefully that goes somewhere really great and gets lots of great press or whatever. Like, and just seeing that I'm not the only person who feels this way, who feels that perhaps what we're being sold. Yeah, I'm doubting whether I should like get into it, but if what we're getting now is this faux feminism via social media, I don't know. I mean, if anyone wants to talk about it, message me. But I'll end that there.
Okay, that's
But
great.
yeah,
I'm so thrilled that you are writing and thinking about these incredible issues, and taking that story forward. It's really wonderful. That's like really fantastic. It's great. So also, I think that did you mention once that are you a triplet? Did you have, are you a triplet? Oh my God, that's right.
yeah,
Oh my God, I
yeah.
thought I remembered that, but I was going, oh, Lee, you're going to say this. And she's going to go, no, I'm not a triplet. How was you have, do you have other brothers and sisters? So do you have, how many,
So
you're a triplet. So you have,
we're three, and then we're three, and then there's a younger sister. Um, and we're all creative in our own way. Actually, the TV series that I'm pitching right now at ATX Festival was written with my sister Bridget, who's one of my triplets. But it very much uh, builds upon. I mean, we wrote the series about twins, but it's about that existence, because I think that that media really maybe hasn't portrayed twins and triplets, etc., in a way that's very fair, in
Mhm.
a way that can kind of be kind of objective. And I know that might kind of sound like weird and lame the way I say it now, but it's I it's something that we're exploring, and I think it might be a unique perspective to kind of bring to the table. But yeah, I am a triplet, and all of my early commercial work and stuff was with them.
Oh, wow. So
Hmm.
your other siblings were also into acting too. So acting in commercials as children. Oh my gosh. Well, your poor mother. Oh my God. Oh my God.
She
Wow.
actually she had she when we were toddlers was trying to take us to auditions kind of frequently.
Oh my God.
But she said that she there was one audition that just went terribly, through no fault of ours. I mean, it just was a really stressful situation, and she and my dad were like, "Never again." After they spent more time in the elevator than we did in the audition room, so they were like, "We're not doing that anymore."
Not doing that
I
again.
mean,
Okay. Been there, done that. That's funny. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. That's like so funny. And are you close with your siblings?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah. Very close.
absolutely.
Very
I
close.
think that it's it's having built-in best friends. Like, and when you're young, like when we were teenagers, it I think we had kind of this perspective that it was more built-in competition.
Uh-huh.
But now that we're adults and we're all our own unique people, our own unique persons, it's like, oh, this is a gift because you are my best friend, and there's nothing that I could say to you that you wouldn't understand.
Oh, that is
It's really
so
nice.
wonderful that you were able to have that in your life. And Anna Rodriguez says she's also a twin. So that's really that's wonderful. Yeah, that's wonderful. Just even switching that from being competitive to your best friends, and you'll have best friends for your whole life. That's fantastic. That's really
Mhm.
fantastic. So. Well, we are a little bit out of time, but before we end up, I just wanted to, ask you. So we have a lot of young people that are kind of starting their careers off, and do you have any
Mhm.
words of advice or words of wisdom to, throw out to people who are kind of starting out, and also, in this coming, well, out of COVID into something new, our new renaissance, but do you have any words of wisdom, for young artists wanting to follow their dreams?
Yeah, I think, oof, I could there's so much I wanna say, but I think that, um, I'll say don't stress, work hard, but don't stress. What is meant to be will not pass you. And that's something every time I start to freak out about a role or something, like a project that I really wanna work on, I think whatever's meant to be will not pass you. And if you put the work in, there's only that's the only thing you have control over, how much work you put into the audition, how much research you put into your headshots or whatever, like, which I will do that. Like, but don't stress. Just do the work and know that because you did the work, something will come for you.
Hmm.
Opportunities will come your way, and they will be the ones that are meant for you.
I meant for you. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Just let it. If it's not, just let it pass. If it's not meant for you, just kind of let it pass. Yeah, and I just love that simple. Don't stress. Can we just not stress? That's so good. Well, this has been such a joy to sit here with you and talk with you, and I'm so happy and proud of you as an artist and doing all of your work and out there in the world and creating these beautiful projects that are, I think, really transforming people's lives. So we're just so grateful that you're a part of our community, and so grateful that you were able to be here with us today. So thank you so much, and good luck to you with everything. And thank you for everyone that tuned in today. And we will see you soon. Okay. All right.
Thank you.